world and across Nigeria. If you just joined us or you're still with us, it's still Enterprise Friday reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Falana, has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reinstate 38 Nigerian army officers who were prematurely retired in 2016. Representing the officers, Falana criticized the administration of former President Muhammad Buhari for ignoring the National Industrial Court's order and the National Assembly's resolutions directing their reinstatement. In a statement during an interview in Lagos, Falana argued that the officers' retirement lacked due process, violated their rights to a fair hearing, and was unjust. The officers, including 9 major generals, 11 brigadier generals, 7 colonels, and 11 lieutenants, were accused of partisanship in the 2015 elections, involvement in arms procurement fraud, and compromising national security. However, Falana maintained that no evidence substantiated these claims. He urged President Bola Tinubu to intervene, emphasizing the illegality of the retirement and its negative implications for military morale. Falana warned that failure to address the issue could discourage military personnel from rendering selfless service to the nation. A letter detailing the case has been submitted to the President through the Attorney General of the Federation, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, with hopes that justice will be served and officers reinstated. Now let's have a conversation for this morning, and doing that, joining us from Atlanta, Georgia in the United States of America is Barrister Evans Ufeli, barrister and law public affairs analyst. Good morning, barrister, and thank you so very much for your time.
Good morning.
Thank you. So what's the time over there?
I'm not in possession.
Okay, it could be mid, it could be in the AM, sorry.
Now it's 3 a.m.
Oh, 3 a.m. Sorry for the inconveniences. We truly do appreciate your time. All right, so let's get into our conversation for this morning. And the retirements of army military officers in 2016. I would love you to take us on where you think military processes of doing whatever they know how to do best, and Falana coming in with his dexterity. I would love you to maybe help us make sense of that.
Yeah, I remember very clearly when they were accused of partisanship during the 2015 electioneering. Even though they were summarily dismissed or summarily retired or forcefully retired based on the allegations of fraud in arms procurement and some other ancillary issues that relates to military unprofessionalism on their part. Those were the allegations, but like the military, they were not given fair hearing. That was one. I mean, also, there were no evidence substantiating the claim from the military. Okay, so they were summarily taken down, retired. So Falana actually went to the National Industrial Court to make a case for them, and got them reinstated. The court made an order asking that they be reinstated. But you know that the former President Buhari is one president that does not obey court order, does not take into cognizance the dictates of democracy in his approach to administration. All over his administration, we saw that how the judiciary was seriously battered. The orders of court were never obeyed, from Sambo Dasuki to Nnamdi Kanu to so many cases where the court reached a judgment, a ruling, making orders and consequential orders that President Buhari refused to obey. That spanned throughout his administration. And now the administration of Bola Tinubu Falana SCN is making that appeal again to the current president, to appeal to his conscience, to see to it that these officers are reinstated. Okay, because first, even if they were, forcefully retired and the military have one or two issues, evidence, which in this case there's none, since the court has made an order to the effect that they've been reinstated, I mean, that should suffice. The judgment of the court and the order of the court ordinarily should supersede every other consideration in a democracy where things are working. But here, things are not only just working, things are not working. Government is not forthcoming in its, adherence to court order, and so many things are really going wrong. So hopefully at this stage, it is that appeal that Falana is doing, asking that they be reinstated, given that first there was no evidence, second the court has made an order to that effect.
Very true. Because we're trying to go through the jurisdiction of the NIC, and of course that's the National Industrial Court. But we understand how that the military are very autonomous in their dealings, and often they would not want civil matters to interfere in the way they go about their duties and all. Do you think we will see a light at the end of the tunnel in this particular case?
It's an industrial matter now. I mean, it's an industrial matter. I mean, how be it that the allegation is criminal? The allegation is criminal, but the removal, of the officers from their duty or the line of duty is industrial, is labor related, So the accusation could be criminal, but an accusation that is criminal could only attract criminal liability in the face of evidence, overwhelming evidence, proved beyond reasonable doubt. In this case, there were no evidence to substantiate the claim of the military, and it's also an industrial matter that borders on employment. So the Nigerian military employs them. So the National Industrial Court, aptly have jurisdiction to determine the case in the light of the employment, in the light of the forceful retirement or dismissal, if you like. So the National Industrial Court have jurisdiction, clearly so, on the issue of the industrial labor. Then the other one, the court, we shouldn't even be talking about jurisdiction here. If the military feels the court have no jurisdiction, then it has a window to appeal to the Court of Appeal. Because in industrial court matter, you can go and appeal at the Court of Appeal, But that has not been done so far. So I think that the government should carefully listen to Falana on this very consideration. The persons who refer to are Nigerian citizens. The persons who refer to have served the military for a considerable number of years. And if there's a dispute, it is only wise that it is subjected to civil litigation, which has been done, and there's an outcome to which the court, the government need to adhere to in a manner of speaking. So that is important. I mean, it's quite very clear that they have to do something. They are citizens and all that.
Yes, please, I would love you to maybe speak to this particular matter. I do not know how this can be at this as a reference point, but I'd love you to speak to it because it's an area you understand properly. And this is a classic case of an industrial court dismissing the reinstatement claim against a Nigerian army. And it reads, Honorable Justice Dele Peters has dismissed the reinstatement claim filed by one Private Henry Ahamefula against the Nigerian army for lack of jurisdiction. Justice Peter ruled that the court neither has the power to review or sit on appeal over the decision of the General Court Martial that having been sentenced and the sentence confirmed by the confirming authority, the availability option to Private Henry was to approach the appellate court for intervention. Is there any form of similarity?
Well, the case under reference is the one you are referring to has to do with the court martial, where military officers have been involved in issue and have been court-martialed. And having been court-martialed, the outcome of the court-martial is what is being challenged on appeal, where that statement was made.
Yes.
Okay. Are you following me?
Yes, very well.
Yes. In the case under reference, there's no detail as to whether they were court-martialed. Okay. In the case you are talking about, appeal line for the court-martial is what they are referring to. This one, there is a case filed at the National Industrial Court to determine whether there was evidence to the effect of their employment and their forceful retirement. Okay, and this whole thing pan out. So in this one, there's no detail as to whether they were court-martial or not. I know when this action happened.
So forceful retirement cannot be technically be seen as court-martialing when someone is forcefully retired.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, even if you look at even during the time of Obasanjo, he also forcefully retired. All generals or all officers that have served in leadership capacity. All the ones that serve as head of state, the ones that serve at different capacity when Obasanjo came in. The fear was that these are the people who have the tendency to take over civil rule, go back to military rule again. So you retired so many of them then. Okay, I know of so many people that are retired, the generals and the rest of that. So this is in the case you reference was an outcome of a court martial. Okay, yes, but the one under reference is we're talking about retirement, forceful retirement, which ordinarily they were not court martialed in this. So they are quite different. And then going to an industrial court to prevent this is to validate the fact that though they were retired forcefully, the claim that followed that, because there must be a reason for such retirement, the claim or the reason given for the forceful retirement does not hold water. It's not compatible with what the evidence is not there. So asking for their reinstatement is, I mean, we've seen it also in situations where people are dismissed, they are forcefully retired and not done, they go and seek remedy and they are reinstated. It's not a new thing, okay? So we see how this pan out.
All right, very well. Now let's speak to the issue of morale of those serving in the military. There's no gainsaying, a barrister, you will agree with me that a life in service as a military officer is a life dedicated to another person. You've sacrificed your life for the safety of some other people. And the worst you can see in your life is while you're doing this sacrificial work, and someone abruptly pulls you out of the system. What do you think this will do to the lives of those who are currently serving with the military? And let's not forget, so many military officers today have emigrated to other parts of the world, serving in the U.S. military as I speak. So what do you think, will this affect in any way the morale of those who are still serving?
Well, of course. I mean, one of the incentive of being a military officer is that you are given honor, and in many civilized countries, you are given honor, you are given incentive and privileges. Okay, in the airport, for example, you are boarding a flight. All army, both veterans and serving officers are asked to board first because they are the ones that actually guard the country, and they are the ones that have, in a manner of speaking, the first line of charge in protecting the territorial, corporate and territorial integrity of the country. Okay, so there's this accolade, this reverence that's given to them. And also they have other issues of honor around it. So where people have put in maybe 20, 25 years of their lives and they are forcefully retired against their will, okay, I mean, there's a retirement age in the military, which you have to attain. We're not saying you cannot be forcefully retired by the military code, but the reason must be compelling. It should be that it should worth it. I mean, not when you have not really done something wrong and then you are forcefully retired. Yeah, it's not just the forceful retirement that weakens the morale of serving officers or retired officers. Not just the morale. It's not just that, but that the way they are treated in general. Okay, the kind of remuneration they get. Okay, the kind of allowances they get, the kind of treatment, the kind of food they give them in the line of duty of protecting the integrity of, the kind of ammunition they get, and the general treatment is what weakens them. We've seen cases where soldiers have, threw their gun away and left the military without official retirement, just because of the way some of them are being treated. So with the issue of incentive is we must encourage our military officers, and the way we should encourage them is to make sure that first they are not treated this way, they are not subjected to very harrowing experience. This one that are forcefully retired, they all have children, okay? Maybe children in university, children in college and all that they have to take care of, pay bills, and they were retired against their will, summarily. So how will they continue to forge ahead? They will look at their country as one that have disappointed them. And being a military officer, hardly do you really have something to do after retirement. Many of them will retire to farming and doing menial jobs. Some of them retire and they go and do security jobs and all that. And they look at their honor draining out of them and their families. And the moment they are forcibly retired, they ask them to leave the barracks immediately. So they have to leave their apartment immediately. Imagine someone who have put in maybe 20 years and is forcefully retired, is asked to leave the military base in a matter of days. Because the moment they leave, another person will be posted to that same apartment. So it's not a good thing for us. We need to treat our military people better. And that's why Femi Falana said he's doing all he can in his capacity to ensure that there is reasonable consideration in what has happened, and the country should be able to reinstate them and give them better life.
Very well. While we applaud the actions of Femi Falana, SAN, Barrister, let's not forget, how do you think it's possible for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to listen, given that when he took over power in May, in June, I have it here according to Punch newspaper, about 100 top officers, including generals, brigadier generals, air vice marshals, and admirals in the Nigerian Army, Air Force, and Nigerian Navy were asked to proceed on a compulsory retirement following the appointment of new service chiefs by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So do you think it's possible for Tinubu to listen, knowing that he equally carried out the same maybe we might compare it to the intentions here, but it's the same thing. Do we see a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu who will listen to the cry of Femi Falana, SAN?
Yeah, well, it's up to him to decide whether he is going to listen or not, or is going to do the needful. Okay, the ones that were all when you are promoting people over people, there are certain persons that have to be retired, okay? Certain persons have to be retired, So it happens. But in the case on that reference, there's no allegation hanging on their neck that they did this, they did that. And so they should go on. This one, there's an allegation that is not substantiated, a claim that's not substantiated by evidence or with evidence. And that is what That is the crux of the matter. And we are saying no, since it's not backed by evidence and that is not a clear case of the accusation already leveled against them, they should be reinstated. It's quite different from the case you are talking about. Hardly will you even find a leader under democracy that would take over power and not retire military people up and down. Apart from Miara, we've had cases of forceful retirement, especially those leaders that have military experience. It comes with a lot of things. There are a lot of information that is exposed to these leaders that instigate them to take certain decisions like this and the rest of that. So, but they are quite different. The case under reference and the one you cited, they are quite different.
All right. Of course, while we let that slide, this is not peculiar to Nigeria. After the junta, it happened in Niger. The president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, forcefully retired some top military officers in his circle. And equally, Paul Biya of Cameroon equally did the same thing. I do not know if this is something very common with African leaders, but let's just sincerely hope that the NIC will look into this matter, and of course those who were forcefully asked to leave would be given what they are due. Thank you so very much, Barrister Vansofeli, for giving us your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, people, that's just about our time for today. We truly do appreciate you wherever it is you've streamed, you've watched from around the world. Please do well to follow us. You can always reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.